let's go ahead and get on with this little mini session involving Marcus Paulson. Alright, Saturday, January 17th, 1998, 8:54 p.m. 17 hours ago, you and your coterie were attacked by 3 vampires you've never seen before. You all managed to escape, in part because the attacking force seemed overconfident and ill-organized. Still, the fact remains that your domain was invaded for the first time since the Camarilla took over. You're still bruised from the encounter, most of your vitae depleted, and your willpower is still shaky. After all, not only did another coterie attack you, but a frenzied David Green nearly put you in final death. Still, there's a costume party you were invited to tonight by Lorenzo Fratelli himself. The event's been happening for nearly 3 hours now, but it will last until 6 a.m., so you've got plenty of time. Offhand, I know you left early. Well, not early, but I was talking with Cripson and Sean after you left. You got a point of willpower back for surviving everything that happened, so you're back up to 2.
Well, that's fantastic.
Anyway, Jordan, Marcus is in his haven right now. You have 5 blood points out of 10, and we're looking at 9 p.m. What would you like to do?
Which map should I be looking at? Because I'm at the middleman right now.
That's perfectly fine. If you want to go ahead and get a brush up again on what the 5 boroughs is, that's fine. But since activity is going to be taking place at the middleman, I figured I'd just cut to the chase and skip ahead to the middleman.
Yeah, I thought I had less blood points than I did.
No,
So yeah.
you have 5.
So yeah, I think I'm just gonna give
Well,
myself to the middleman.
I suppose you have 4 now, due to the fact that you just woke up.
That is true, but I still have enough that I'm not gonna ravenously look at people.
Right. Unless you wanted to say spend 2 blood points to make yourself appear not like a corpse.
True, and that would probably be useful considering there's going to be a lot of people.
Yes. The benefit will last for a scene. For the purposes of this, we'll say your entire time at the middleman will count as a scene.
I think I'll do that, but that does put me down to the level where I'm quite hungry.
You are welcome to hunt, should you so wish it.
I will attempt to hunt before I go to the middleman.
Okay, how will Marcus go about hunting? It's Saturday night, gonna be a lot of activity out and about, so he won't have overly too much difficulties finding prey.
Probably much the same way he did the night before.
Okay. That case, what did I have you do? Appearance plus subterfuge, or what the fuck did I have you do?
I
God
believe
damn
it
it.
was an appearance plus subterfuge or a charisma plus subterfuge roll, and it was for seduction.
Yes, that sounds good.
So appearance plus subterfuge?
Yep, with your unforgettable face. Difficulty of 2. You
I think.
pass. Describe how Marcus goes about achieving this victory.
Well, I'm pretty certain that Marcus will stop in at probably one of his favorite, CD bars in Astoria or whatever bars he goes to. It's Marcus. He can go wherever he wants. He's a subtle punk rocker. And, it being a Saturday night, there's obviously going to be drunk people there. Some of them too drunk to, really know what Marcus is getting at when he says, "Let me kiss your neck."
So,
I'm pretty much skipping over the entire, seduction part, but
that's perfectly fine. How drunk are the people that is the
you know what
person that?
happens.
Yeah. How drunk is the person that Marcus ends up going after here? Does he want slightly drunk or does he want completely overly drunk?
That is actually a good question.
I mean, your limitation is basically the person has to have alcohol in their bloodstream. How much alcohol are you looking for here? You want alcohol that you can directly perceive in the way that they wobble and weave around. You want
I think Marcus wants to have a nice healthy buzz going into the middleman.
okay. How many blood points would you like to take?
Well, I am hungry, so I'm going to have to roll a self-control check to stop this. See if I can't
You
take
see,
more.
you wouldn't be hungry if you hadn't spent the blood points before that.
True, and I think that's probably what he would have done. So
Okay.
I'll just take two, and we'll be fine for the rest of the evening.
All right,
Hopefully.
that'll put you back up to 4 then. Whoa, wow. 4 drinks of alcohol in her system.
Well, I guess I have zero intelligence going into the middleman.
Well, let's see. It's we're gonna say it's about 10 p.m. now. You could slowly wait it off. I do believe the dice penalty decreases for like every hour.
Yeah, but even so, I'm not at my normal game. But it's fine. It's
Okay.
fine.
How are you going about getting to the middleman?
I believe I was going to get a taxi because I was going to use some of the limited funds I can get from the Coteries pool to do this.
That's
A
perfectly
taxi should
fine.
taxi
Um,
shouldn't be too expensive.
yeah. How does your character look? What's he bringing with him to the middleman?
Well, it is a still January evening, so he's going to be wearing a coat even though the cold doesn't really affect him. He's going
Right.
to be wearing torn jeans because that's his normal wear. And underneath the coat or jacket he's wearing, he's going to be having a faded T-shirt with a band logo on it that he doesn't really remember what the band is about.
Nice. And for what he's going to be bringing with him?
He's going to be bringing his guitar with him and nothing else. I'm not even going to take a knife because if I get into a fight here, I have done something severely wrong.
All right. Now, is that going to be like are you be playing this acoustic style, or are you going to be bringing your little your box with you?
I'm pretty much going to be bringing my box with me, so it's a bit of a something
Okay.
to lug around.
Of course, I forgot the proper name. I'm like, box. That's the best I got.
You mean the amplifier?
Yeah, there we go. I was like,
I mean, I'm not a musician either. I just know it's called an amp because a bunch of people have yelled at me about it before. I'm like that thing that makes the noise.
the thing that makes the noise. Sounds good to me. All right, so we'll end up saying it's about 10:30, 10:40 p.m. by the time you get up to the middleman. You called your fellow handy dandy service, the Metro Cab, with its very recognizable Ouroboros, and the trip runs about as quickly as smoothly as a trip can go at a late Saturday night here in the Big Apple. As you're pulling up to the middleman, or as the taxi driver is pulling up, you notice there is a lot of activity outside. Particularly, there are paparazzi and reporters who are lurking and skulking on the exterior of the building. You can imagine that so many people have been trying in vain to get inside this major event here, this costume party, that for whatever reason Lorenzo Fratelli invited you to. But though there's those two faithful enforcers standing out there in the front, and there are even scarier enforcers with a dog in the back, and no one has been able to infiltrate this 3-story building. How would Marcus like to make his approach?
Well, I'm assuming that there isn't a queue, or if there isn't, I'm just going to go to the front of the line anyways.
No, there's no queue.
Okay, I'm just going to go up to the dim-witted one, and I'm going to say, Marcus Paulson, here for the party.
Uh, you'll notice that Blockhead's face, he is, by the way, significantly taller and much bigger than you are, but he has that sort of childlike innocence about him. The face, it brightens up at your approach, and he cuts a smile. Ah, Mr. Paulson, I'm so glad you could make it today. I was worried you wouldn't show.
Fashionably late, like I always say.
I see. The fact that you've actually gotten a good conversation with Blackhead here has actually drawn the attention of people who are lurking around the building. And make no mistake, the exterior of this place is very well lit even in the night. They are snapping pictures of you.
It's a good thing I don't look like a corpse.
Yes. The blockhead smiles and says, "What a nice costume you've chosen for the party today."
You like it?
"Indeed I do. It's very subtle."
Damn it, Grimith.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Marcus is going to engage in the fine art of small talk for a minute.
All right.
Say, how's business?
On blockhead, he beams. "Well, at the finest establishment in the entire world, the middleman, business is truly booming. Particularly at this," the hands become grandiose as the arms outstretch in the air. "Oh, this glorious night with the costume party." He sweeps over towards all the people who are like skulking outside trying to snap pictures. "So many people wish to attend, but Mr. Fratelli only allows the best and brightest." There's almost an ironic smile on Blockhead's face whenever he says that.
Mr. Fracelli in tonight?
"Indeed, he most certainly is. He would not have missed such an event for the world. And Mr. Valentine himself has also made an appearance."
Well, if I see Mr. Fracelli inside, I'll have to thank him for inviting me.
But of course, the scarred throat gentleman steps towards the door, punches in a code, swipes a card, and the door opens. "Please enjoy your stay, Mr. Paulson."
I intend to. Have a good evening.
The hostess is dressed up as some sort of a Victorian era Southern belle from the antebellum period. With her particular dashing outfit, she looks very handsome is a peculiar word to be using for the female gender, but it would certainly apply in such a situation. Not overly like ravishing or explicit, more along the lines of a classy thing. She looks towards you. She quirks her head a bit at your interesting choice of costume, but she smiles. There's a coat rack here. She offers to take your coat for you.
Oh, thank you. Marcus would take off his coat and hand it to her.
Yep, she goes ahead and puts it with all the other various coats, and you are easily permitted through. The establishment has changed significantly since the last time you've been here. This first floor, which served as a restaurant area, all of the tables have been moved to where, excuse me, exactly. You're not sure. There's two tables that end up blocking the passage to the kitchen. Waitresses are standing about, and every now and then they head through the dance floor because that's basically what this turned into now, with trays of hors d'oeuvres or drinks or what have you. And there are many well-off people dressed in all sorts of peculiar costumes, basically an excuse to flaunt off the wealth and the idiosyncrasies of the rich and famous. Most of them have a mask or some other form of headgear covering their face, so as to not reveal their identity to either those inside or those outside. And as such, the costumes can get a little absurd, so much so that there is one particular man who's dressed in some sort of, you'd say, some sort of uh, domination outfit, complete with a sweeping cape, a lot of leather, combined with some metal straps, and he has this peculiar jewelry in the form of like some gold-plated codpiece he has over his groin.
I see I am the most dressed tonight.
Well, you are subtle. The As for the appearance itself, there's definitely been a lot more artwork that's been placed out as well. In particular, the man who's south of you is staring at the wall at some glorious, luscious painting of some European vista, and he's staring at it in slack-jawed, wide-eyed awe. As you take a look at it yourself, there's some strings that pull inside of your body, but your brain is so focused today that were you perhaps in a more relaxed mood, you too might stand in front of this thing and just talk about it the entire night.
Interesting.
There's as for the music, there's actually some music wafting in from the second floor upstairs. Sounds like an acoustic guitar is being played, and there's singing in a voice that you can't quite recognize down here. But almost sounds like it's some sort of like 80s power ballad.
Well, I have to investigate this.
All
Screw the artwork, find the music.
right. All right, in that case, both the Fratelli enforcers, they politely nod to you. They are all costumed up as well, but their their costumes are more for function rather than form.
I see.
Yes. In that case, you go ahead and head up to the second floor, and a rather interesting sight awaits you. There's a large group of patrons looking ahead at a little stage area here, which has a stool, and upon it is sitting a man whom you'd recognize as Valentine. He is dressed up. He has his long hair out, and he's got a bandana around his forehead. And the long hair is sort of interesting. The fact that you've seen him with short hair the last time you saw him here at the Middleman, and it's just the fact that as you know that vampires tend to have a tendency to revert to their pre-embrace states, and he must have been embraced with long hair, so that he easily grows it back. He's hunched over, playing an acoustic guitar with a microphone in front of him, and he's crooning along to it, and it's interesting. You seem to recall the song. You can't quite place it in your brain. You swear you've seen some sort of stupid 80s music video about it where it's cut in black and white and it pans around this singer and interspersed is like activity that this band had at some sort of concert like they all did back in the fucking 80s. But it's some sort of stupid song about roses and cowboys and thorns.
Well, this is an interesting side of Valentine I never thought I'd see.
Yes, but he is very much cutting the dashing in quotations mark of an '80s hair metal rocker, and he is just finishing up the song to apt attention and wild applause from the patrons who are watching. You'll spot Lorenzo Fratelli is actually over here in the corner by the no authorized entry door. Waitresses over here on the east side have drinks on hand, but they've been waiting for Valentine to finish his performance. They too have been staring and with great attention. The enforcers are, again, they're dressed in peculiar costumes themselves. As a matter of fact, Lorenzo Fratelli is actually the only one who's not costumed up at all. These enforcers who are standing by the wall, you notice are actually guarding doors of sorts, something that you'd never really noticed before whenever you first came here, but after what Byron told you, and basically a message that the fact that these are ways into like private rooms and such.
Is Mr. Valentine? Is it possible for me to get over to Lorenzo right now, or are the enforcers going to stop me?
Doesn't look like they're stopping you. They're just standing there, just they're sort of watching Valentine as he's finished up the song himself, and he stands up from the stool and takes a polite bow, smiles a bit, and Lorenzo Fratelli himself wasn't as enthusiastic as everyone else. He is a very attentive man, and he notices your approach and looks away from Valentine as he begins some other sort of crazy power ballad number about uh, you think you've heard this one before, like just to be the next to be with you or something like that. Lorenzo looks
Mr.
at
Fr-
you. Yep.
Mr. Fratelli, I would like to thank you first of all for inviting me here to this wonderful party.
Lorenzo smiles, arms outstretched. Ah, I'm so glad you could make it, Marcus. I was beginning to worry about whether you would even show.
Oh, you know me. I might be late to a party, but I'm never not going to be at it.
Indeed, I do not know you, but I will store that away for future memory. Yeah. He looks you over and at the guitar you're carrying along with the amp. Planning on doing a performance for us, Mr. Paulson?
I mean, I can. I mean, I sort of was sort of doing. I thought this was they were just sort of finishing the costume of the musician. But if you want me to, I guess I could.
He chuckles. I can't imagine why you'd be carrying around that box were you not intending to use it, Mr. Paulson.
You got me.
So, uh, you two end up staying by the wall as Valentine plays his other song here. Lorenzo, continuing to look at you, says, "So, how's business doing, Mr. Paulson?"
You mean in Astoria? Let's just say the real estate market hasn't been as good as we hoped.
I see. I take that you find that I was a man of my word, yes?
Yes, but other problems have arisen. Not involving you, but other things have cropped up.
I see. Truly understand such circumstances. There are people who are always looking for opportunities.
Yes, truly, and I myself see an opportunity in coming here. You know, make some friends, get some information maybe, but most of all, making friends. And you, Mr. Pacelli, you're a good person to be friends with.
Lorenzo lifts a brow. Information, you say? What sort of information would you be looking for in a place like this?
I don't know. Ha- you seem like a person who has the pulse on the city. You sort of know when things are going down.
He chuckles. I'm very pleased that you have gotten over the misunderstanding we had. I had some concerns over that.
Eh, I wouldn't be too worried about the everyone else in my little group. I think they'll get over it eventually too.
That gentleman who was with you, he squints his brows. Byron, I believe he was called. He did not seem overly pleased about the turn of events.
Well, you have to look at it from his position. You sort of damaged something that was important to him. Now that you've apologized, I believe over time he might forgive you.
Ah, I see. And then he pauses and he starts chuckling and like, I have to hand it to you. Whenever I saw Mario's condition, whenever he came in the next day,
I was out bar hopping and then he happened to ambush me and I had to defend myself.
truly I apologize for his actions, but it seems not much of an apology is needed. He is a man who took the responsibility of his actions into his own, and he paid every single stitch of it.
Where is Mario? Is he here tonight?
He has been released for his short-sightedness.
I see. Well, that's unfortunate.
There is a quiet menace on the way that Lorenzo says these words, which suggests that there is perhaps more than being released.
I figured as much. But Marcus is going to keep his mouth shut about that.
Indeed, although I admire passion in the line of work, I cannot quite tolerate such foolishness as what he clearly exhibited.
That's a smart way to run a business, I guess.
So for that, I must thank you for bringing his short temper into light. I knew he had one, but I had not quite seen a way by which it would be so readily provoked. Unstable workers are just bad for business. He smiles.
I can totally understand that.
Valentine finishes the second number, to which there is yet again applause. And Lorenzo looks over long enough to offer some polite applause. It seems that whatever fearful glances he was giving Valentine are, at least for the time being, non-existent.
I never knew Valentine knew how to play a guitar.
Lorenzo smiles. He is capable of many things, as I am aware that many of your kind are. After all, when one has an eternity to learn.
Ah, I see what you mean. I see what you mean. But yes, we do have quite a long time to learn things.
Then, Valentine goes ahead and stands up. The group goes back to who is watching goes back to like milling around with each other. Uh, no one directly approaches Valentine. They just, as he walks past, they stare at him a bit with sort of like that wide-eyed awe and admiration. That fawning bullshit that you've seen mortals do over vampires so many times.
Out of character, I'm assuming this is some level of domination.
No, certainly though, Valentine exudes a presence that even you can feel.
Ah, I see now.
He, of course, he as a Ventru, it's very likely that he has dominate. Oh, by the way, you can see all my characteristics that I typed in
Okay.
for him, guys.
But when Valentine comes near, Marcus is going to smile and say, "Mr. Valentine, I did not know you knew how to play the guitar."
Valentine, of course, looks a little silly. Why, he still cuts the very rakish and gallant figure, but he looks over at Marcus. He smiles and he looks you over. Uh, of course, and yeah, just to get back to that, dominate would only affect one person at a time. Certainly, it could have been like a presence effect to all people, but it genuinely seemed like good playing and vocals to Marcus.
Okay. Okay.
But he definitely does have like just like that subtle like intimidation slash presence aura that he exudes, which does attract attention for better and for worse. He smiles and says, "I do appreciate the compliment. It is skills that I have picked up over the course of my life. I find them to be good icebreakers." You know, he steps a bit closer. Lorenzo politely nods and sort of gives a half bow to Valentine. And Valentine says, "I see that you too have come to play for the audience here. How will you be entertaining them?"
I thought I might do. I thought I might play some of the. I thought I might play a few chords from some of my recent gigs.
Oh, Valentine's brows lift. "Ah, you're a regular player?"
Yeah, but not in as nice of places as these. I usually do seedy dive bars.
"I see. There are to each his own culture. As for me, I do not make this a regular avenue of work. However," he looks over towards Lorenzo, "Mr. Fratelli politely requested that I come here and play a few songs. So I have. Perhaps I've warmed the stool up for you."
I think it's gonna be mighty hard for me to follow up after you, Mr. Valentine.
Oh, did you hear me say that?
No, I did not. I think your connection might have derped a little bit there.
It might have. May have also been a situation where I accidentally pressed the mute button on my microphone like I'm having a Skype conversation or something. God damn it. Anyway, Valentine says, "Oh no, because you've arrived at such a time and the crowd has been loosened, it is possible they may be amenable to whatever it is you play.
Marcus is going to give him a look that says, "Really?" But he's going to humor Valentine. Says, "Perhaps."
It's difficult to tell just how serious Valentine is being, if only because of how he couches his phrases, and if anything, it seems as if he might be talking down, not in a condescending way, just as a sort of, you might not understand all of my flowery words, so I'll say ones that you can understand way. Particularly given the fact that you are drunk.
Yeah, he probably smells like he probably has a bit of alcohol in his breath.
Yes, so. That might be of the fact that, that might have been coloring the responses of everyone you've gotten thus far, but since you're drunk, you're not exactly able to perceive it.
It's all good.
Uh, Valentine looks over towards Lorenzo and says, "Well, other matters require my attention on this night. Lorenzo, I hope the rest of your party goes well." The two of them clasp hands, with Lorenzo having a beaming smile. Valentine gives a polite nod to you, and he leaves.
Marcus will return the polite nod.
You hear, as you stand there by Lorenzo, you hear screams of excitement come from downstairs, and then trailing off outside the building.
He's a popular one, isn't he?
Lorenzo looks at you. He has that effect upon people, more so than a celebrity, I would say.
Well, I guess it's my turn to go play some music.
Uh, Lorenzo gestures a fingered hand towards the front for the little stage. By all means, go ahead and do so. As you approach, the patrons who've been turning their attention towards each other as the waitresses have been coming by giving drinks. There's been a few people who've entered and exited those private rooms. They turn their attention to you. You were speaking with Mr. Fratelli and, of course, Valentine himself. And perhaps given the fact that they've had some alcohol of their own, and Valentine being perhaps an opening act for you, they are they're looking at you with most of the attention they can muster. And it's at this point that I give you the offer that I extended you on Saturday. This is a fairly receptive crowd, so it'll be a difficulty 6, charisma plus performance. However, you are welcome to extend that difficulty as high as you would like. The difficulty at which you perform, as well as the number of successes you obtain, will influence factors.
I think I'm going to increase the difficulty to 7, and then I'm going to go with that.
You may also spend willpower points to achieve like one of the successes. Successes on like the various rolls. Just like with each willpower point counting as a success, if you so wish it. You only have 2.
At this point, I think my willpower is an important commodity to save.
But of course.
So I'm going to be rolling. In old New World of Darkness, certain items don't give bonuses to any other rolls. The only things they give bonuses to are attack rolls. So I'm assuming that in Old World of Darkness, having a guitar does not make me better at performance.
No, it just gives you the opportunity to exercise your art of performance, which in this case is playing the guitar.
All right, so I'm going to be rolling 6 dice with a difficulty of 7.
Righto. Well, you didn't botch.
I'm just glad I didn't botch.
Perhaps due to the amount of alcohol Marcus consumed. Or maybe it's just some sort of other variety of factors. Nervous about the attack that happened, still thinking about David nearly killing him, and of course, currently being frozen in a torpor. Following after Valentine, being in such a high pressure, high society arrangement. Marcus only goes through a song, and then he realizes that perhaps things aren't best for him now. The culture is polite enough, and Marcus is a skilled enough player that he can work through the song, but they're just they end up being politely and rather clearly disinterested. Lorenzo actually steps back through the no entry door and out of sight.
Oh boy. Oh boy. I guess I'm gonna get off the stage and then go do something else.
All right. What would Marcus like to do? In the absence of someone else who's going to be sitting there at the stool to play music, and perhaps after following up that wonderful performance, from speaker said to the wall, that soft classical music begins playing again that you were familiar with whenever you last came here.
I think Marcus is just gonna engage in small talk with some of the patrons. You know,
Okay.
some of the patrons here might be important members of high society, and might know things that Marcus wants to know. At least that's what Marcus is thinking in his drunken state.
They might. For the purposes of after everything that's transpired, I would say an appearance plus etiquette roll will be required. Difficulty 8. 1, because you're several dice drunk, and 2, because you did not do so well in your little performance.
Seems fair enough to me.
That is a partial success. It takes some time for you to break the ice. You appear to be charming in that sort of that roguish, you're so different from all of these people way. And they just attribute it to perhaps your bad playing to nerves or the fact that time is passing and you are getting better from not being as drunk. It's quick for you to bypass alcohol, but they just attribute it to that, some sort of polite society thing. But you are certainly welcome and regarded with at least somewhat favorably. You're not given like a stink eye or anything, and you
Which is
politely
all like,
socialize.
yeah, politely socialize for the evening. I'm not going to be imbibing alcohol because that's just going to require me to go to the bathroom and throw it back up.
Right. Of course, you're certainly offered a lot of food at various points, but you manage to pass it off, and no one looks at you too questioningly about that as you carouse with these people. You'll notice, especially if you end up going between the two floors, there are moments where tables come out and large amounts of food are offered. For everyone who's been invited to this party, all of the refreshments are free. Ends up being these are such special people, and all of them appear to be highly affluent as well as respected. So it's obvious that they're all good for it, basically. Um,
Except for me.
well, you were invited to this costume party as well, so if you were actually a person who could take advantage of all of these items being offered to you, then, well, there you go. But you're not.
Yeah.
You'll notice, and I told this to Cripson as well. Whenever Byron was going through this area, all of the people are incredibly beautiful. Although with your appearance of 4 and your unforgettable face, you blend in rather well. Of course, they all appear to be of such incredible wealth, especially that man with the gold-plated codpiece down there on the first floor. That you don't exactly fit in the best, but again, this is a costume party, and you certainly have an interesting costume all of your own that you're wearing. And they talk in a variety of languages. Marcus, of course, I believe he's only limited to understanding English.
I believe so. I don't know what the other way of learning another language was. Was that in
So yeah, there are merits that you can pick up languages. I would have also allowed Something that they cut for whatever reason in the shift from revised to 20th anniversary is like the linguistics knowledge. I would have certainly allowed someone to pick up dots in linguistics.
Even so, the only language that Marcus might have even learned over his time was Vietnamese because of his time in Vietnam. So
Right.
the only language he knows is English.
But you end up having some polite conversation directed your way, but you're clearly out of your kin here of knowledge, and as it pertains to say global economics or major crazy political events that are happening in the nation. A concern particularly over the president of the United States and that mounting infidelity scandal. Is there anything in particular Marcus would like to inquire about or do while he's here at the Middleman?
Well, the question becomes do I know of anyone who is obviously a vampire?
Does not appear to be any vampires who are entering. All of these folks, the men and women, are, as opposed to you, who's only serving as some sort of mockery, they are very much human. They smell human. And it's sort of a situation where you can part your lips, and the taste of their perspiration and pheromones lands on your tongue.
It's a damn good thing I fed before I came here.
Yes, and it's a good thing that you decided to participate in the mockery of that little charade there of life.
I think Marcus is since Marcus is well out of his league here. I thought there would be more, actual vampires here. I mean, and Lorenzo's gone off, so there goes that avenue of information gathering.
Well, you could certainly
I
try
guess he's just
to
sort of gonna idly gossip
say you
with
could
whom he can, I
say,
guess.
you could certainly go after Lorenzo if you want, or perhaps find a means by which you could attract his attention, if you so wished it.
I think at this point in the evening, once after Marcus has realized that when people are talking about high economic finances and politics of like Canada and shit, he's out.
You do have that sort of charming aura about you of, hey, you come from a special, different background, and your experiences are different. But it's sort of along the lines where, Marcus, I'm sure, feels this in many other situations. He doesn't relate with people. There's of course the fine amount of art and the beautiful music that's playing, which he can take time to admire, and perhaps those could be conversational points to discuss. But it ends up being a situation where he's not common. You could yeah, if you want to leave, that's fine. It just just wanted to check to see whether Marcus wanted to do anything else while he was here, or attempt to do anything else.
I think Marcus is probably going to try to talk to Lorenzo a bit more.
Okay. How would Marcus like to go about trying to do that?
Well, I'm assuming the door down here, or the no entry door, is actually closed, and I can't see those two enforcers down there.
Yes, that is correct. But they're certainly there. Maybe you have some sort of like life site or what have you.
I mean, I could see auras, but I don't think I could see auras through doors. But anyway, I'm gonna go over to like the nearest enforcer, and I'm gonna ask him, is it possible that I could see Mr. Fricelli?
And let's see. The enforcer looks at you. He's some sort of a bravado superhero type figure from a comic book. One which again maintains its function, despite the fact that most superhero costumes don't really have good function. He looks at you and he takes a good look at you and he says, "Certainly, Mr. Paulson, that should not be out of the question." And you get the sense that, particularly now that a few hours have passed and you are less drunk, and the enforcer nods and says, "Please come this way."
Thank you.
He opens the door for you, and he gives a polite nod to the other two enforcers, and they give back and they look at you, and the enforcer who's with you says, "He wishes to see Mr. Fratelli. Please do let him through." And you are given access to go through.
Oh, I remember this. I remember these hallways.
Yep. And of course, there's that curious sign of, uh, bullet holes that have been recently repaired, and perhaps a curious bloodstain or two that's just along this wall, as if it's some sort of murder corridor.
Yikes. And that stairs takes me over here. Yes.
Yep. The rest of your journey ends up being uneventful, except for, lo and behold, this man that you end up being familiar with. He's got his legs propped up, shotgun nearby, observing the cameras, and of course the soft classical music is playing here as well. He looks up at you and he smiles. Ah, Marcus, it's a shame that performance didn't go so well. You have a little bit of nerves there.
A bit of that and a bit of too much alcohol.
But of course, he chuckles. Still, it's a very interesting costume that you've chosen to wear here. Certainly clashes marvelously with all those snooty, high-priced ones. You'll notice that he actually isn't dressed up in a costume either. Apparently, his badass nature is good enough, and he's kind of looking over the camera, so he ain't going anywhere.
So you enjoying the party from up here?
Oh yes, of course, absolutely. Watching all those little paparazzis scurry around outside trying in vain to get in, snap pictures. Oh yes, it's the high life here. 12 hours of staring at these fucking monitors. By all means.
Well, I hope something happens that livens up the situation. Preferably not with me this time.
But of course, he presses a button, which causes the door that opens up into Lorenzo's bedroom to slide open. I assume that's what you're here for, unless you've come to politely chat with me.
I came to talk to Mr. Fercelli.
Damn, I was hoping that you'd relieve me too. Fair enough. Mr. Vitelli is here working alone, uh, toying around with his computer and typing on it, although he does stop and turn to look up at you as you approach. And Lorenzo says, perhaps in the next time you can avoid such an overconsumption of alcohol. For starters, we can, of course, provide that here, and there is there is an unfortunate impact upon one's performance when he's had too much to drink. He folds his arms on the desk, politely smiles.
I'll take your advice into consideration.
He gestures towards a seat there, which you are now standing by. Please, have a seat. Now, what brings you here?
Well, about my business anyways, back a little bit. You may have heard of something, you may have heard of a little incident that happened in Astoria last night.
Lorenzo lifts a brow. No. Go on.
Well, three armed guys attacked our real estate office.
Hmm. Lorenzo's facial features don't end up showing overly much. His brows end up lifting in some measured form of surprise. Oh, I assure you they were not Fratelli men, Mr. Paulson.
I wasn't thinking about it at all. I knew they weren't your men. They weren't as snappily addressed, I can tell you that much.
Still, what brings you here to discuss these men?
I was just wondering if you or any of your employees have heard anything about these men. I can describe them to you in great detail.
Okay. Lorenzo shakes his hand, prompting you to basically give as much information about these three men that you know. So what does Marcus know?
Well, I don't know. You don't think he ever actually describes them. You described one as being actually taller than me and like very bear-like, apparently.
I did give little basic descriptions of the three of them, but certainly Marcus would be able to provide those. There's no need. I know it was the heat of the moment, telling you what their hearts meant.
And that's basically them. I mean, if you don't know anything about it, I would be most graceful if you actually would look into it for me.
Give me a wits plus subterfuge, difficulty 6.
I failed, but I didn't botch.
You didn't botch, no. It Mr. Fratelli here shakes his head. No, I do not know of such gentlemen, although I imagine they must not be fully aware of you and your friends either, were they to so brazenly attack. How did they attack?
Well, one of the guys was wielding an axe, which is an axe. Another was wielding a shotgun, and another was wielding a pistol. And after me and a few of the other guys had gotten into an altercation with the fourth member of our group, as we were winding down, repairing the damage after the altercation, they busted in the door, and then one thing led to another.
An altercation? Repairs? Lorenzo leans back, his back pressing against the wall. Some altercation.
Well, you know my kind. We can get really angry.
The eyes widen a little bit. Ah, I see. At any rate, no, I do not believe I know of such gentlemen, but they do not sound like the sort that would attempt to attend the middleman.
That's unfortunate. Well, I had to try. Because if you did know who they were and I didn't ask you, I would feel very, very stupid.
Of course, not that you would end up knowing if you never asked in the first place, isn't that right?
Truly.
There's actually a call that comes out now. A cell phone in Lorenzo's pocket is ringing, which he ends up picking up. Speaks gruffly into it. Yes. I see. Thank you. He hangs up the phone and he looks at you. Tell me, these men who attacked you in your home, uh, do they by chance drive a dark blue sedan?
Marcus's eyes are going to widen up at this, and he's going to try to keep his entire demeanor a bit calm, but he's going to answer, yes.
I see. One of my men outside has informed me that for the past 15 minutes now there has been one such sedan patrolling around the middleman. It possibly may have been here longer, but it did not stick out overly much.
If it's the same sedan, I think you might want to. I know your men are really good, but you're dealing with my kind here.
I see. He keeps his posture relaxed. Still, I don't think they're quite after destroying the middleman here in my establishment. I wouldn't think that they would dare encroaching upon such territory. After all, their business is not with me. You, on the other hand.
Yes, I believe their business is with me. And I suppose you would like me to leave now.
Lorenzo shakes his head. There is no threat to me here, nor is there to any of my patrons. You are one of those patrons, having been invited, and you are welcome to stay until the morning hour strikes at 6.
Well, I thank you for your hospitality, especially in my time of. I don't know what to say. Me as Jordan doesn't know what to say here.
That's all right. You can take some time to think about it, or perhaps Marcus doesn't know what he'd want to say either.
I don't think Marcus would know what he wants to say either. He's still a bit drunk.
That's right. Perhaps 2 hours have passed by this point. You're looking at maybe we'll say 1 a.m.
Well, either way, Mr. Fratelli. Thank you for telling me what you do know, and for telling me that the guys are still following me.
Uh, he gives a polite smile. Well, I've myself and my men are trained in the minutiae of observation. It would be reckless if we were not able to recognize a potential threat, but it seems this one is not meant for us.
I don't suppose I could ask you to have someone tail them. Tell me if I'm being too forward here, Mr. Fratelli.
Mm, Lorenzo, he tilts his head a bit, still leaning back in his chair against the wall, and thinks about it, and says, no, it would not be overly forward. After all, they are following in my territory. However, considering the fact that they have remained here, I don't think they'll be going anywhere without you. But he shrugs. But I don't know anything about them, other than what you said.
Well then, I believe I shall be leaving soon, but I'm not 100% certain of my safety in leaving throughout the front door. Is it possible I could leave out the back and get a taxi out there?
Lorenzo smiles. Certainly so. As a welcomed patron here of the middleman, by all means, you may use our utility access.
Again, thank you for your hospitality. You are a wondrous host.
He politely smiles.
And I believe Marcus is going to make his way back out onto. Well, he's gonna make his way back out there, and he's gonna mill about for another hour
Okay.
until the alcohol's truly out of his system.
All right. As you go ahead and leave, um, see, the door closes behind you, and the big bruiser gentleman with his legs propped up says, looking at you, he apparently knows about the situation as well, and he says, 3 gentlemen, all 3 that you described, appear to be within that vehicle. Although the shadows seem to be playing over it, it is difficult even for my technology to properly observe. And
Yeah.
the infrared sensors are clearly indicating that there is no body heat coming from those men, just the vehicle itself.
Thank you.
Of course, it might be interesting to know the fact that he might have infrared sensors so detailed that he's actually capable of detecting that.
Marcus is gonna nod and say, "Well, I can't honestly ask any more of you or your boss. So, I
Let's see.
mean, can you help me kill them?"
The business is not ours to be entering, and as bored as I am back here behind this fucking desk, I'm afraid it's up to you to solve your own problems.
Well, you can't blame a guy for trying.
No, but rest assured, perhaps if this were during my off time, I might be interested in testing my mettle against them.
All right, I'll keep you in mind. Marcus
After
will
I
nod.
saw what you did to Mario, I don't think you'd be needing a whole lot of help, and if you did, it might be an instance where it would be worth helping.
Truly. Marcus is gonna nod and make his way out.
Okay. So yeah, as you get back down to the second floor, the Vitelli enforcers are still on the other side of the door, having polite conversation with one another. They politely nod at you. Apparently no one else has taken the stool. All the patrons are just continuing to mill about, politely nod. I can move around the tokens, but I believe you can get a fair gist of their activity as they are active.
I think in this last hour, Marcus is gonna try again with the music.
Okay, by all means. This one is going to be somewhat harder for you. We're going to look at a difficulty 8 here, although you can, of course, go higher. This is due to the fact that they've, of course, witnessed your failure, and they're going to be a little bit more surly towards you, particularly if you're going to try to take up their time again with another act.
I'm going to be spending a point of willpower, so I have an automatic success on this.
Okay. Would you like to keep the difficulty at 8, or would you like to go higher?
I would like to keep the difficulty at 8 because I'm not sure I'm going to get any successes.
Okay.
Three successes.
Very much so indeed. Your performance then, particularly after you've, perhaps it's the action of the moment, the fact that there's someone out there looking for you, or maybe it's the fact that you're no longer fucking drunk. But you give a particularly inspired performance. Feel free to describe it to us.
Honestly, honestly, my knowledge of punk rock music is basically Green Day, so I have no idea anything about it. My kind of music is like Red Hot Chili Peppers and stuff like that, so I honestly have no idea what Marcus would do here.
You don't have to describe like in a song, like maybe he's doing a cover, or perhaps like his own song, or maybe, describe how he's managed to draw the audience's attention and get them, wrapped up in Marcus's music despite the fact that he failed a few hours ago. How is his, like, his charisma and his performance achieving this?
Oh, I think first things first, after he's going to kick over the stool because fucking punk rocker, you don't need that shit, you know. That's gonna get their attention. And then he's gonna start playing the song from earlier, but he's playing it strictly better. Like everything about it, he's working the stage, like a trained and experienced musician would, using every inch of it to his better and straining the cord from his electric guitar to the amplifier as far as it'll go. And I think I almost want him to break his guitar at the end of it, but that's an expensive piece of equipment.
By all means, you're welcome to break it. It's not as if,
So he's not going to break his guitar at the
See,
end.
by all means, you're welcome to break it. I mean, it's not like David's going to have access to the profits from the real estate, right?
True, and when you put it like that, no, I mean, I think once he's done with the song, he's going to calmly put the stool back back up on its side, and
you certainly got attention. Is he just going to play one song, or with 3 successes, is he going to keep writing it here? You don't have to keep making rolls. You're welcome to spend as much time here as you'd like.
well, if the audience wants him to, he'll play another song.
They're certainly very interested by this stunning turn of events, and perhaps it's become more clear, perhaps why you ended up getting invited. People have come streaming up the staircase from the first floor to get a better look at this, which apparently wasn't something they were doing even for Valentine.
So they're like, oh, this guy's here because he's really good at music. He's one of those rock stars.
You're just having an off day. Everyone has an off day. All these high-profile people understand off days.
Sure. So Marcus is going to play probably 2 or 3 more songs.
Okay, you have very much attracted the attention of these people, and, although they're not overly crazy with, like, say, their cheering as, like, one of those seedy bar gigs that you might do, they're very much into it, and you have the attention of most, if not all of them.
Well, there's one improvement over playing over CD bar gigs. I don't get beer bottles thrown at me if I fuck up.
Right. I mean, this was a very high-profile and polite society establishment, so, you know, although they might have been disapproving inside them, the fact that you made a good impact whenever you're socializing with them, and now here in your little redemption thing, despite the increased difficulty, you have done very well.
And after, I'm assuming, after the last song, Marcus is going to give a polite bow and say, I'm done for the evening. Because
You
I don't think.
you definitely have wide applause greeting you, as well as some perhaps it's some sort of like a little bit of a joke among these high society people, but one person starts crying out a woman who's dressed in a French maid outfit. We'll say this woman right here. She stepped to the group, the front. She's like, "Encore!" And then all the other polite society people start chanting it as well.
I'm going to ask this question of character. If I do an encore, I have to roll again. Do I?
No, we won't say so. These people are definitely riding the wave of what you did, and with 3 successes, like I said, you can keep going for as long as you want to do this. I mean, you started around like we'll say 1:30 a.m. You could keep going until the party shuts down at 6.
Well, if the party shuts down at 6, I have about an hour to get back home and not die.
You can do that, right?
I
The
mean, if I'm being followed by a blue sedan.
yes, the sedan. The woman in the French maid outfit is also giving you those interesting eyes. Perhaps a great look as perhaps if she's enamored with you from your exceptional performance. But she's definitely into it, as well as the other high society people. They want you to keep going.
Marcus will play one more song. It's a bit of a slower song. Marcus normally doesn't play this sort of thing, but
All right.
it's just for tonight. He's gonna play a bit of a slower song, something to calm everyone down a bit after those probably high-powered riffs and chords he was playing earlier.
All right. Is he going to destroy the guitar at the end of the slow song?
No.
All right.
Although I'm gonna keep that in mind for some other time.
All right. Well, certainly the crowd was satisfied with their encore, and you've definitely made a very impressionable impact upon them. They give you a bit of cheering, and eventually, and the people who came up from the first floor, they some of them end up mingling and interspersing here. They sort of end up crowding around the stage, though. They are very much more interested in you than what they had been previously.
Oh dear, this is gonna be a bit difficult to get out of here.
Particularly the woman who's been giving you that 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 look, we'll say in quotation marks, which I believe you as any hot-blooded male are familiar with.
Yes. Well, what is the time exactly in game?
We'll go ahead and say that you spent an hour on that performance. We're looking at 2:30.
Well, Marcus is like, well, I've got some time. I can talk to the fans, I guess. Especially one in such a nice outfit.
Oh yeah, she's very attractive. There's certainly it's difficult to say exactly what exactly she'd have to push you to in order for you to kick her out of your bed.
Truly. But anyway, Marcus is gonna walk up to her and say, "Hello, miss. And what is your name?"
She it's almost sort of like a polite befuddlement here. It's you get the sense that this doesn't happen a whole lot with this sort of culture. Perhaps they don't end up socializing with people from your culture as well. For out of character purposes, in terms of like any sort of seduction, where you'd have like an opening remark, a witty repartee, and then like the whole little the winning convincer over, you've completely blown past all 3 of those stages with her.
I guess Marcus is just gonna put the moves on her for now. I mean, out of character, I kind of want to make her to a ghoul, but I think that's gonna be difficult. So I'm just going to probably, use this as a time to get some relatively free blood, if that's at all possible.
That certainly
If,
is. Those private rooms have been mentioned about with that Byron told you about with no camera surveillance at all, completely soundproofed. If you wanted to spend some time there and get some blood points from her, that's certainly possible, and she would be willing to follow you.
I think Marcus is going to do that.
Okay.
He's going to do that.
There is a little romantic interlude as Marcus and this wonderfully attractive woman, whose whose name is, we'll say, some sort of silly, snooty-sounding name like Cassandra, adjourn to one of the private areas. And as Marcus is flush and full of health, he can show that he can extend his performance in a variety of ways. How many blood points would you like to take from her?
I'll just take 2. I mean,
Okay. She is very enchanted by that. Her eyes flutter at the powerful, embrace of the kiss, and she certainly wasn't disappointed by her time with you.
and I think with that, Marcus is going to make his way out of the middleman.
Okay. As you've been given earlier access, and particularly by word of your wonderful performance there, you're able to go back through the kitchen and access the utility passages, and you're let outside of the back door. The dog is clearly upset by your appearance and catching a whiff of you due to your supernatural nature, but the other enforcers around are able to keep control. Apparently, he's a pretty good guard for any supernatural creature that might try to come in through the back door.
Interesting. Dogs can detect supernatural things.
Well, it's something that you would be familiar about, both in character and out of character. All animals tend to be offset by supernatural creatures, particularly vampires.
Okay. Anyway, is there I'm assuming in this utility access, is there access to a street that's not the front door?
And certainly so. You're very
Marcus
close to the parking garage. It's part of the middleman, but despite the fact that it's well lit, there are paparazzi and reporters still lurking around. But a much wider berth is given around this back area.
Marcus is going to walk down the street, look around. If he sees a blue sedan, he's going back in.
Okay, go ahead and give me perception plus alertness difficulty 6. We'll say all of your drunk dice are going.
Is this visual or not?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and say it's visual. Assuming that's how you try to detect it. No, there's some vehicles that are passing by, courtesy of the fact that we've now gone into early Sunday morning here, when the party's still never ending in the Big Apple, but you do not notice such a vehicle.
Marcus is going to a cab and then go back to his haven.
Quick cab service, Metro Cab with the Ouroboros sign pulls up to you fairly quickly, and you catch a ride on it back to Astoria.
And I think Marcus would then later in the evening probably check in to see if Byron or Joseph need anything. And since they're not here, I'm assuming they don't need anything.
No, you're not able to get a hold of them for one reason or another.
Okay. And since he's not actually hungry, he's probably just going to go. What time is it? Like 3 or 4?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and say around 4 now.
He could go to the Toreador place, but everyone's probably leaving, so there's no real reason to do that.
Right, he might have made a bad impact on the PS1 Contemporary Arts Center the last time he was there.
I mean, talking about Methuselah blood and polite company is a bad thing.
Yes, particularly since the Ivory Tower completely disavows the fact that the antediluvians exist at all and other ancient vampires. The jihad is bullshit, shit like that.
And so Marcus is probably gonna be like, I think I'm gonna turn in for the night. It's gonna be an early night. He hasn't really learned much, but apparently he's gained a lot of fans.
Your picture has certainly been taken many times. And those high society people, you definitely made the party there happen at a time where it might have been winding down.
I don't suppose that entails me getting a second dot of fame.
No, it would not. However, for the purposes of you gaining this and participating in this, your bon vivant lifestyle, go ahead and gain a willpower point. In addition, because of how well you roleplayed that, gain an experience point.
Wheat, I am back. I'm back where I was at the session beginning, and I have gained an experience point.
Indeed,
That's good.
it's worthwhile to take time to do these little mini session vignettes, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, this one wasn't nearly as long as Aaron's, but
No,
and had,
that's because Aaron made lots of things happen over the course of this, and besides, he ended up missing a huge chunk out of our session, so we had to cover a lot of ground on what he was doing.
yeah, true. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, in this one, I got some work done, and I found out some not so useful information, but information nonetheless.
Yeah, so what did Marcus learn and gain from his time out?
I learned that Valentine lives a much is not just a Ventru, which is a blue blood asshole. He also knows how to play 80s power metal, which is kind of interesting. That puts him on Marcus's respect scale up one more notch.
I thought it'd be interesting to have Valentine there, playing Poison songs.
It's certainly something Marcus never thought he would see a Ventru doing, especially one so uptight as Valentine.
Perhaps he was, he was in costume for the purposes of it. Maybe he was just, getting into the costume.
Sure. And he also learned that Mr. Fratelli doesn't know anything about what was going on here. I expected that. I was just going to ask anyways in case it happened. So he knows that for sure now. And he also knows now for sure that they're still following them.
Yes. Of course, it's very much likely that they weren't going to head into the middleman to do anything, but, you know.
It's good to be on the safe side. I mean, vampires are paranoid creatures by nature.
Right. Um, if you would, say, I did give you the experience point there. Normally you're not able to spend those on background, but if you'd like to, say, devote that experience point to, say, Marcus continuing to follow up and, playing in, like, higher end establishments with, like, his newfound skill and respect, I'd certainly say he could get an additional point of fame.
I'll probably do that with this one, with that experience point. It's going to take a while, like, not going to happen immediately.
Right, but the combine the fact that you had your picture snapped, you appeared in a very prominent locale, the middleman, during a very exclusive event. You saw maybe 35 patrons there at max. All mortals and all affluent and wealthy with their crazy idiosyncrasies and costumes and what have you. Certainly, as Marcus, sees the potential for him to expand beyond those seedy bars, the fact that there might be other people who are interested in his music, yeah, I feel free to just convert that experience point into a point of fame in his background.
I'm still probably going to wait a while, like a week at least a week or even a month before I do that, but I'll probably end up doing that.
No. Well, I mean, you're the same person who wants to think that you don't actually have access to learning potence, and I'm telling you can go ahead and learn potence. Well, just say the sudden flash of, your picture being slathered along with so many, like in the papers or whatever, like, who is this mystery man, this subtle punk rocker? You can go ahead and increase it now, and convert the experience point that way.
Okay. I always err on the side of caution just to be on the safe side.
It's fine, but when the storyteller is telling you that you can do something, you might as well take advantage of them, right?
Yeah, but sometimes when I take advantage of the storyteller or the DM, they get really mad at me.
Well, if I'm giving you permission to do something, and if you do ask and they're like, yeah, you can do it, you might as well, And if it turns out to be a mistake on their end, well, they'll know not to fucking do it again.
All right. Well, Marcus now has 2 dots in fame.
So, session end here. What did you think of it?
I was actually I actually had kind of a bit of anxiety going into this because I didn't know what you were going to throw at me, but since I know now, it was actually really fun. It was more of a character building exercise rather than, actually learning things, so I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that was the purpose of this, an opportunity for you to be able to dive into Marcus again and expand him. I wasn't going to throw any combat at you here while you were by yourself, unless you went looking for it.
Well, after last time he was here, he's not going to go looking for combat in the middle of men unless it comes to him.
Yeah, I didn't think that you'd be interested, and certainly I feel that everyone, myself included, needs to take a break from combat after the very combat-heavy session we had this past Saturday.
Yeah, one combat after another, and I think everyone knows now blood points should be spent as I hope you can't hear that. My neighbors are being really loud outside.
There's a your microphone is powerful enough that there's just a wow 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 wow, but it's fine, not a problem.
But yeah, I think we all understand now that we all need to be spending blood points when we go into combat, so we know that now. I know that now, so
Right. Of course, you were the only one with the blood points to spend for that second combat, and it's difficult for someone who can only spend one blood point per turn to make it happen, as opposed to, say, fucking David, Aaron's character.
I mean, had I been the one going frenzy, that the combat, if I'd been the one going frenzy, the entire thing ended the same way with me ending up in Torport. I think the combat with those three guys would have ended a lot differently.
Well, for starters, it would have been easier for the party, especially given, David's ability to just quickly spend blood points and put your ass down.
Yeah, it would, and then they would fight with those three guys. Everyone would have blood points, and David's a lot better at combat than I am.
But there's no exact telling how the situation may have unfolded at all. The dice rolls were what they were, and there's no telling what could have happened without them.
I mean, that's half the fun of playing games like this. How do the dice end up?
And half the frustration, right?
It's why when I do like actual like live tabletop games and I have to roll dice in front of people, I use the same dice every single time. I don't you buy new dice for this. I'm really superstitious when I'm actually rolling dice.
As many gamers end up being, perhaps for good reason. And don't forget though, you did get a free axe. You fucking jacked that guy's axe.
I mean, I came out ahead in that entire engagement against those guys. I mean,
Yes, ahead.
I now have a weapon that can do a lot more damage than a knife to a vampire. That is huge.
Well, it's something that you could have picked up pretty easily anyway. It's an axe. It's not like those are hard to find or buy.
Just saying, I didn't have to buy one. I don't think Marcus actually would have bought one because he didn't really need one.
Right, but since it's here, and I think your characters have gotten a better sense of what they might and might not need, in these troubling times in the year 1998.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I actually really enjoyed this because I got to delve deeper into Marcus's psyche, I guess.
And it turns out there that he became a winner with how well he performed there at the end.
I'm really glad he didn't botch like Aaron.
Well, from what I understand with willpower points, whenever you spend them, they're not canceled even by botches.
I'll probably have to look into that myself, but even then, I'm just really glad that I didn't botch even the first one.
Let's see, but the success is guaranteed and may not be canceled even by botchos. I was giving you a little bit of flexibility though on how you could have ended up spending that. I would have just basically said if you had ended up failing more times than not, it'd probably been like, all right, you basically achieved the same thing that you did, with the last performance, where it's kind of like, disinterested.
I haven't ruined my relationship with him. I've just soured it again.
Yeah. But no, that ended up working out very well, and you had a woman who was enamored with you, and all these powerful people who just got into the mood. Perhaps they were heavily intoxicated themselves, and they just wanted to have a good time, and you were there, and you got 3 successes.
How drunk was she?
She she was a bit intoxicated, but not overly much so. It was more along lines where she just saw you and she wanted you, and you wanted her back.
We wanted each other for entirely different reasons, though.
Yes, but it's all right for people to use each other, so long as they acknowledge that they're doing that. It worked out.
I got some blood points, and hey,
She
that's
she
good.
she had a memorable night. It is going to be a session end though. What's Jordan's character? Let's fucking try that again. Jordan, what's your character looking forward to do over the course of the week before we convene our Saturday session? Since the session will be starting after a week worth of downtime instead of an entire month.
I believe Marcus is going to try to be, play in more high class venues instead of, seedy dive bars and the like. Just
How is
normal
he going to
things.
handle the fact that he might? They probably don't end up knowing where his haven is, or they would have surprise jumped him and staked him. And he would have met final death already. But they do know Astoria, and they attacked your O'Malley real estate. They might have some semblance of where you are.
True. So I think Marcus is going to be. I think he's going to also maybe get in contact with the police contact
Okay.
and seeing if he can have his patrol officers keep an eye out for a blue sedan
So
and maybe tail it somewhere if it
that
goes anywhere.
that would be more for an angle for your police ally that you have through David, Deputy Inspector Mikhail Vargas of the
Okay,
114th
that's
precinct.
what I meant. I don't think we actually have a police contact. We just have
You
a
do.
police ally. Well, I meant the ally. We're just gonna see if Mr. Vargas can maybe deal with them in a way that doesn't require confrontation. Because I don't think they're going to be as willing to attack us if there's a police car right behind them.
That seems perfectly fair. Anything else that Marcus is looking to do? Of course, we all know that the three of your characters are going to be getting in contact with Match, and to set up both an idea of getting higher powered guns as well as looking for an independent ghoul. So David's new character can be introduced to the group.
Yes, he's going to be working with Joseph and Byron on that. So I think Joseph was taking the lead on the whole getting the ghoul thing. I'm not 100% certain.
More along the lines of looking for high-powered guns, but I mean, although the entire coterie knows of Match, he's your contact that you ended up bringing into the group, so you'd have the best relations with him.
So yeah, I would probably say you guys want the whole thing of do we want to bring someone in to help not replace David, sort of like take David's place until he comes back,
Right.
and then call match, call basically me and Joseph will call match, get everything, the guns and the ghoul as
Yeah.
one big package deal if we could.
Yeah. Match would certainly recommend the mercenary ghoul, and as for the guns and stuff, that'll cost money, but your characters with the profits from the real estate, even though some money's going to have to be spent to fix up the real estate business and the devastation that was caused, that's more of a long-term project that'll just suck away David's money that he would have normally gotten. And for your other characters, things can certainly happen.
Yeah, and he's going to, of course, be assisting if Byron or Joseph actually needs him to do anything. He'll help them out when he has the time,
Of course.
and that's pretty much what Marcus is looking to do over the course of the week.
All right. Any other questions or comments, either for me or for anyone who might be watching this on YouTube?
Nope. Oh wait, I got one for YouTube. Fuck you.
There you go. That takes care of that. All right, Jordan, we're done here.
Okay, it was fun, Grimith. Have a good evening.
You too.
User disconnected from your channel.
Of course, you all ended up getting to see some of the. I don't need to hold down my push to talk key anymore. Some of the interesting things, of course. This is part of why that I don't want to showcase all of my notes off. A continuation of that fact. I mean, you get little implements where I obviously dotted down things in Lorenzo Fratelli's notes here just in case he had to attack. And of course, you guys got to see a big view of little notes that I put of how to describe Valentine, as well as notes that he has, and as well as his disciplines and his virtues and his humanity and willpower. You guys get to see that. Now I might completely change all those statistics. Yeah, obviously, there's not a ton of elders filled inside of this place. So, Valentine isn't in Chile, just like, most of the other higher end vampires are. they're not going to be excessively powerful. This is virgin territory, and it's what allows, the lack of sires, the lack of a prince is what allows the player characters here to basically grow and expand a lot more than they would in more conventional cities, like Chicago, or, some other European city, or other established Camarilla territory, and stuff like that. I didn't reveal a whole lot, though. Of course, due to the fact that this map being what it is, you guys got to see the exterior edges, the fog darkness that the players normally can't see, but there's not a whole lot revealing on this particular map. You get to see David's old token, Aaron's old token that he made for David before he replaced it with a new one that better matched the player character borders. But yeah, that goes ahead and takes care of this mini session. For any of you players who ended up watching, I know that Crypson is a pretty big offender. Now you know how powerful Valentine is, to an extent, with his disciplines. Something for you to aspire to. And of course, if Aaron's watching, the gentleman who plays David's character, that's how you properly handle one of these mini sessions without shit falling apart in your face. Oh. But for those of you, of course, you guys didn't get a proper distinction of that. For all of you who've been viewing and listening to our sessions, rather than skip an entire month and wait for David to wake up, we've decided to, as a group, to not go that far into the future. Only a week of time will end up passing, maybe 8 days, so a little over a week. And the coterie will be meeting Aaron's temporary character, an independent ghoul who works as a mercenary. An independent ghoul is not dominated by anyone, so he gets his vampiric vitae through, in this particular case, serving as a mercenary. He'll be with the group for 3 months, since there's 3 vampires within the group, and each of them can give a point of blood to him, depending on, how long he might need to be with the group. Aaron's decided that once David awakens, he's going to take a sabbatical from the rest of the coterie, so he might be away for much longer than a month. Hence why we're bringing in the ghoul, and we're not waiting for David to awaken. Okay? So hopefully that gave you an indication of things. Hope you folks enjoyed this. This was completely off the cuff for me as well. I, of course, have a little semblance of notes here. I'll show you all my notes that I have here in a notepad, which was the intro. That's it. Everything else, there's a few ideas, such as Valentine doing what he did there in my head, and I rolled with what Marcus was going to do. This is not something that every DM/GM/storyteller can do. Not everyone can simply do ad-lib, off-the-cuff, responding to the players. To an extent, everyone who does this has to improvise, if only because you cannot prepare for every situation. You cannot prepare for everything the players will do. And it would be sort of rude to just constrict them to your acceptable outcomes. It limits their creativity. Some players, of course, don't have a whole lot of creativity. They want to be on the railroad. But for a system like Vampire the Masquerade, where White Wolf has completely neutered so many things, and the nebulous interests of the storyteller can describe it all as it happens, you kind of have to do that for this system. And I think this worked out pretty well. Shorter than Aaron's mini session, if only because, well, he missed a big chunk of that session, whereas Jordan didn't. This was a freebie for him. We all take care. Any questions or comments from myself, or for Jordan, or for any of the other player characters, feel free to leave them. And of course, he will be broadcasting the next session, as he did with the past 2, on his Twitch channel at 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So feel free to follow him, favorite him on his Twitch channel if you haven't already done so. I'll include a link to that in this video description. And look forward to seeing you there. Or, whenever you listen to the audio later. Righto? Take care, everyone.